Hello, everyone. Hello. Happy Tuesday to you. Let's see who is all here in the chat. So it looks like we have, Javier. Welcome, Javier. I hope you are still here. Thanks for joining. And then we also have Dwee. Good morning to you, Dwee. Hope you're having a great day. Anna. So was Javier the winner today of the star? Javier, you get the star. Ding, ding, ding for being the first to arrive ready for the lesson. So, Alyssa, have you had any cheese today, Alyssa? If so, what variety of cheese have you had? Let me think if I've had cheese today. I have not eaten any cheese today. I have not. Gertrudis, welcome. Hello. Shaw English Online, hi there. Hello, Layla. Good to see you. Grace, good morning to you. I am doing well today, Layla. Thank you very much. I am excited for this lesson. This lesson is something that I love talking about. I love teaching about. I love social communication because a lot of people struggle to communicate socially. They may be able to use appropriate grammar and have wonderful thoughts that they're sharing, excellent vocabulary, but they can't use those skills in social situations. One of my jobs as a speech therapist is to help people who struggle with that. So I'm excited to share some information with you. So everyone can hear me and see me? Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me okay in the chat. I'm thinking so because I haven't seen any responses yet. So let's go ahead and get started. It is 7:02, so I think we'll get started. Again, today we're going to talk about pragmatics and conversation. So a good starting point would be to discuss what is pragmatics, right? What is pragmatics? Let's take a look at the definition. Now, this is a bit long, everyone, so bear with me. But the definition of pragmatics is it is a branch of linguistics that's concerned with how we use language in social situations or social contexts, and also the ways that people produce, so how we speak and also how we understand these meanings through language. So pragmatics has to do with how we use our communication skills socially, our social communication. So let's think about if we lived our lives without pragmatics, what would it look like? This is a little bit of what it would look like. Okay, we have our girl says to the boy, "Can you pass the salt?" And the boy, who doesn't have pragmatic skills, he just interprets this literally and thinks she means, "Can you physically pass the salt?" So he's going to say, "Yeah, I could," but he's not going to pick up the salt and pass it. Pragmatics is the ability to understand the social contexts that we use communication skills. So, Grace, yes, what we are able to use in a practical manner to interact with others and to have our conversation be successful in sharing information. So, according to the American Speech and Hearing Association, which is the organization in the United States that I am a member of, I had to take this really big test. in order to become a member. It's kind of like what doctors have to do when they certify with their boards. I had to do the same thing. And the American Speech and Hearing Association talks about pragmatics as being more so how we take turns when we talk, and also how we let others know the topic when you start talking. And also, it's about staying on topic. So, for example, let's talk about a husband and wife, or a couple, and the wife comes home from work and says to the husband, "We need to talk." Well, first of all, the husband may say, "Oh gosh, what's this about?" But then the wife will say, "We need to talk about the kids' grades at school," so that she is sharing, this is the topic that we need to discuss. If she doesn't start the conversation by sharing a little something about the topic, it could make the conversation difficult. If she just says, "We need to talk," and then she says, "Johnny just isn't doing well in school." She needs to give some information to her conversational partner what the conversation will be about. And also about staying on topic. So I want you guys to respond in the comments, okay? Tell me, do you have a friend or a family member that when you have a conversation with them, all you can do is listen because they just talk constantly and they don't stop talking to hear what you have to say? Have you ever experienced that? I would love to know. So Javier, as you may not, I'm not sure what you mean there, but tell me in the comments, do you have a friend or a family member that you don't really like to talk to because they don't let you answer? They don't let you participate in the conversation. Let me know in the comments if you have experienced that. Sagla, come on. That's not you. You let me speak. We took turns. So when I am working with young children, I will use a ball, okay? And we will actually practice this skill by rolling the ball back and forth. And you can only speak when you have the ball. So Layla says, yes, one of your family members. And Andika, yes, you have as well. And Gertrudis, you have a niece. So sometimes when this happens, the person needs to actually get some assistance in knowing that they have to stop talking in order to listen. I understand, Javier. That is fine. But Layla, okay, so you're not sure how to say in English to your family member. Yes. Well, there is a polite way to do it and maybe a not so polite way to do it, but you could just, if they don't let you speak, you can say, "Can I talk?" Or you can say, that would be a more polite way to kind of clear your throat or move forward like you're going to say something. Those are cues you can use to tell your conversational partner you want to say something. Sometimes I raise my hand. I'll raise my hand as if I'm in school because that is a visual cue to tell your conversational partner something's not working here. So let's take a look at our next slide. So like I mentioned, when I work with young children on teaching them how to have a conversation, I will play catch with a ball. And some therapists, such as in the mental health field, when they do therapy with couples and with families, they will use a talking stick. And this is used more so to allow everyone to have their chance to speak, because some people tend to dominate a conversation. So taking turns in the conversation is important. Also, establish a clear topic. So with your very close friends, let me know in the comments, students, do you have close friends that you can jump from topic to topic to topic, and your friend is able to understand exactly what you're talking about? Let me know in the comments. So Layla, sometimes you try to lift your hand, but your family member does not pay attention. Okay. Yes. In that instance, the weight of the conversation is more on your shoulders. What that means is you have to work harder than the other person for the conversation to be successful. So if you introduce your topic, and then it's important to give the necessary background to your listener. Okay, so let's take a look and see in the comments if you have a friend or if you have a partner, a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife that you are able to have a conversation and jump from topic to topic without telling your partner. So Layla, you can do that with one of your brothers. Excellent. I have a few friends that I can do that with. But typically, it's important to establish a clear topic so that everyone understands what they need to know. Okay, so we're going to do an exercise right now. Here is our exercise. You have a problem. Let me type this in the comments here so you guys can see what the issue is. So I'm going to add a slide, and here's the problem. You have your internet's not working. Okay? So your internet is not working. You have to call your internet company on the phone and request for a technician to come. So what will that conversation look like? They answer, they say hello, and you say, let's just say Layla is calling. You're going to tell right away, I need a technician. A technician is a person who comes to your home to fix something that is not working. I need a technician. And they say, what is the problem? So you're going to need to give them the background. Layla is then going to have to say, my internet does not work. And you might want to give them a little bit of background. My internet doesn't work. So what should we say? What's wrong with our internet? What could be wrong with our internet, guys? What do you think? Let's see in the chat. What could be wrong with the internet? What are different things that you have problems with your internet at your house? Let's see. Grace says a weak signal. Okay. A weak signal. I think that's great. Anyone else have any other issues that you've encountered with your internet that you could describe to the person on the phone? I love that word, Gertrudis. Dodgy. That's great. Okay, so Layla says I should say the internet is cut off or the signal is weak. All great words. So weak signal. I had this problem recently, and I called and said, I get kicked off the internet. Because every once in a while, I would just get kicked off randomly. Yes, Sagla, I had to buy a new router. That's what I had to do. So let's say my internet doesn't work. You could say the signal seems weak. And that way you're giving the right information. And yes, Layla, when our internet isn't working, it can be so frustrating. And then sometimes it's really hard to get someone to come fix it, right? So then the person can say, I will send someone out tomorrow to your house to fix it. Okay? All right, so let's continue and let's see what's next. So we have the rules for social communication. So sometimes we're going to have communication that does not work, right? And when there is a breakdown in communication, a breakdown can mean your car breaks down, it doesn't work. But when we're talking about communication, a breakdown in communication is when the two people communicating, or maybe there's a group of people, they are not understanding what one another is saying. When you are learning a new language, communication breakdowns occur often. So when this happens, we have to do what's called conversational repair. We have to figure out a way to say our message in a different way. But the first thing is you have to see, well, did they understand what I said? And you have to look at their face and their body language to see if they did understand or if they didn't. So we need to engage in conversational repair. So like I said, this happens when you say something and the person you're communicating with didn't understand. So then you have to change your message so that the person you're talking with or speaking to understands. So let's take a moment and let's type in the chat. Share with us if you've encountered a breakdown in conversation that was embarrassing or difficult and how you handled it. I have a story that I'm going to share too, but I would love to see what you've done when you have experienced a breakdown in communication. What have you done? So let's take a look in the chat and see if anyone has some things to share when you have experienced a conversation that has broken down, where things are not understood between the two groups. So let's take a look and see. While I'm waiting for that, I can share with you. Don't forget, we have our subscribers here. We have Gertrudis and Layla. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. We have Michelle. It's great to see you, Michelle. Thanks for coming. Of course, Layla is here, and Anna. Anna, I hope you're doing well. And Dwee, thank you so much for subscribing to Learn English Live. When you subscribe to this channel, you are helping Robin be able to continue to provide free live lessons here on YouTube. So you buy him tea. For me, you buy me a soda. But it helps us keep things going with the live lessons. So thank you very much for doing so. So let's take a look if anyone. Okay, so Grace said that she had a conversational partner when she stayed in the USA. And show. You can join the channel membership if you would like. Those who have already become members, thank you so much. I think I said subscribers, but become channel members. Let's see. So Layla says, sometimes I try to move to another topic indirectly. Okay. Sometimes you just feel like, I don't know how else to explain this, so you move on to something else. That is something I commonly see. If you can't tell someone with your words, you can also try to show them. That's when gestures can be very helpful. So we had a problem when we were in Russia with my boys. And they went to bed, and we had only been together with them for 3 or 4 days, maybe a week at the most. I laid them to bed. Bedtime was always difficult because everything was new. I turned off the lights, and I got maybe 3 or 4 steps away, and they started screaming. So I run in because I think somebody's hurt, and they're screaming a word that I didn't understand. It was Volk. And I'm like, what is a Volk? I'd learned some Russian, but I didn't know. What is Volk? And so my younger son talked, and he kept saying Volk, and they were scared. They were so scared, and pointing to the window, Volk. Well, we were up like on the 5th floor in this building, and all I could see was a tree. So I thought, oh, is there a spider? So I'm like, oh, is it a spider? And I'm gesturing. So finally he did this and said, oh. Well, I realized he was talking about a wolf. They thought they saw a wolf outside the window, and they were scared. So he repaired the conversation by gesturing and using the sound that a wolf makes. But yes, oftentimes you just change the topic. You can use body language, use jokes to try and help the situation. Yes, Grace, it was a wolf. WOLF. Marcos, nice to see you. So this is why it's helpful to speak with others, either in person, but during this time of the pandemic, video chat is also helpful. Text messaging and phone calls often are not very helpful, right? It can be very challenging at times to understand someone's intention, what they really mean through a text message. And even a phone call, when you're speaking in a language that is not your native language, it can be very challenging. And sometimes even in your native language, you can get things confused when you speak over the phone. That's why it's always, when people say, this is a serious conversation, I want to do this in person. So we talked about gestures. So my son, who did the gestures to show me ears, and then he made the sounds of the wolf. We use our facial expressions. So the thing with facial expressions is people will believe what they see on your face before they will believe your words. So Grace says, when I travel, I just point to the pictures on the menu. Yes, that can be very helpful, although you may not always get exactly what you want, but it can be helpful for sure. So if I said, I'm really happy. No, I feel really happy. My face does not show that I am feeling really happy. So our face needs to match what our message is, so people will believe what we're saying. Hello, Grace. It's good to see you. Thank you also for being a channel member. So Anna says, yes, you're not alone. When I did travel, when we were in Russia, I also did the same thing. I looked at pictures. That was kind of my way to manage things. So Julie, better late than never. Yes. Also, another thing is, once you figure out something at a restaurant, you can go back to that restaurant and you just order the same thing because you know what it's going to be, right? And yes, and some cultures do not show emotions with your facial expressions, but it can be really helpful. And then also reading nonverbal cues. So if someone backs away from you, that might be a really good sign that they are not comfortable with what you're talking about, or they don't like how close you are getting to them. So here are a few gestures that I found when I was doing some research that might be used in some countries, but in other countries, they're considered offensive. So doing the thumbs up, I actually do this a lot when I work with young students, like, good job. So I know that in some countries, such as Iran and Afghanistan and neighboring countries, that this is like giving the middle finger, which we call flipping the bird, which is one of the most offensive things you can say to someone, right? At least in the United States it is. Also, in the UK, using a peace sign with your palm facing you. So this is good. So this is, peace, but flipping it, this is considered to be an insult. And there's a history to that has to do with, I think, World War II, but I'm not going to get into that. Pointing. Here in the United States, we point a lot to show things. So if I were to, I say, you get a star. But that might be okay, but pointing to people, like pointing this way, that is considered offensive. And in Malaysia, they actually will use their thumb to point. So be careful with pointing. When I teach students in China, I will do this. I'll like open my hand out like this. But even this is, in some countries, this can be offensive, or doing this, because this is considered, you do this to call an animal. You don't do this to ask a person to come over. The OK sign in Brazil and some Middle Eastern countries, it's also considered offensive. And this was a new one for me, students. I did not know this. So the hang loose or rock on. So this is hang loose, right? Or this is the sign if you like to listen. Jonathan's not here, but if you like to listen to rock music, you'll be at a rock concert and people will be like, yeah, rock on. Well, I didn't know this, but in Italy and Spain and some other Western European countries, this stands for the horns of a bull. And it means that you're telling a man your wife is cheating on you and everybody knows about it. But it literally means you are a castrated bull. Your wife is cheating on you. So Jonathan's here. Yes, rock on. So you just have to be careful with gestures when you are traveling. So let's take a look in the chat. Layla says it's rude for other people to point to them. Okay. And Natalie, tell me about metal. I'm not sure what that means. RSR. I'm not sure what that means. Marcos, can you tell me, please? If you said HHH, I would know that meant that you were laughing. But I'm not sure what RSR means. Yes, so I love this sign. I use this when I'm like rocking out, right? But I did not know. In some countries, if you show that sign to a man who is married to a woman, he may get really offended. Rock metal. Yes, rock metal for sure. Rock on. So let's talk about proxemics, which the definition of proxemics means the rules in a culture for how close to stand to someone while talking. This means how close or far away. So, Ruslan, will you come here, please? I'm going to show you with my son. Will you walk around here so you guys can see? Okay, will you get over here in the camera? Let's see if I'll back it up. Okay, you're good. So Ruslan's going to show you. He's going to get really close to me. So this is how close. Can you bend down so they can get in the camera? Yeah. So the camera's right here.
Okay.
Okay. So this is how close people would talk in some countries. But here in the United States, he's like right up here, right? Mm-hmm. This would make somebody feel uncomfortable unless you were a family member or a close friend. Okay? So this, if your friend came up to you and was talking to you like this, how would you feel?
Weird.
Weird. He'd feel weird. But in some countries, people talk this close to one another. But in the United States, we have big issues with our space. So they're saying, hello. Grace says, you are really handsome. Say thank you, Grace.
Thank you. Well, I wish, but I'm not.
Yes, he's a handsome guy. So now let's show them. Okay, so I'm going to back up.
Wait, we're live right now?
Yes, we're live right now.
Oh, hi. Yay, I'm famous. Woohoo.
So this is about how far away we would stand if we're talking to colleagues, to someone that you work with, okay? Now, an arm's length is how far you would stand from someone you don't know. If you are in public, you would stand an arm's length away. Or now, 6 feet apart since we're in the pandemic. So there are differences in proxemics. Thank you.
Oh, can I get something to eat?
Yes, you can get something to eat. He wants to eat all the time. That's okay. So differences in proxemics in different cultures. So we have different layers. We have personal space. This is your bubble in which you feel comfortable talking to others. So Ruslan and I are family, so we can get that close to one another and we both feel comfortable. Public space is when you are farther apart. So that's the furthest out, and that's the arm's length out. Impersonal interactions, when you are in public with strangers and less familiar people. So social space is the space in between. And that is what we use in our everyday interactions. So when we're on the public transportation, when we're at work, I was going to show you my bus, but I can't find my bus. So public space, that's when we try to have an arm's length. Social space is when you have to be in smaller spaces with people, like on the bus. And in general, the United States, Canada, and some of the Nordic countries. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny, Robin? Oh, we're live right now. It's a good thing he didn't say anything bad. So, Dwee, she wants to know, when someone says the F word, does it mean that it's something good or not? Some people will say that when, oh, that's really good. And then it can also be used in a negative way too. Like, F that. That's bad, right? Or you can say, yeah, that's really good. I actually have something that I am creating for social media on the F word because I see a lot of it. So let's see. Michelle. Yes, Michelle. I'm sorry, I didn't get to that. This is kind of the sign for the devil too, sign language. Anna says, keeping your distance to each other in your culture. So type to me, guys. Let me know what it is like in your country. Tell us what country you're from and what the personal space, what is the bubble like? Do people get close to one another or further away? So let's see here. Bubble, private, personal space. Yes, your personal bubble. Think about a bubble that surrounds you. Grace says she worked in a donut shop and middle-aged Spanish women would come to the shop every day and you became close with them. And she would kiss you on the cheek and hug, and it was also just weird. Yes, so I've been speaking with some of my friends from South America, and my Spanish teacher tells me, oh yes, people kiss each other on the cheek all the time when you are meeting them for the first time, and that seems very unusual to me, but that is just a cultural difference. It would be considered sexual harassment if a man is too close to a girl or woman. Anna, do you have separate cars for public transportation? So if there's a train or do you have special areas on a bus where the women sit? Because I know in some cities that does happen. We talk close to each other and you hug, no problem. Yes, in Brazil, Brazilians are a very hands-on culture where, get really close and enjoy that closeness. And Dwee, always smiling. And some cultures very rarely will smile, but they're very happy. It doesn't mean they're an unhappy or unfriendly people. It's just that is the manner that they hold on their face. Okay, so Anna says you only get close if you're family, relatives, or BFFs, so best friends forever. Eye contact. So guys, type in the chat, how does your culture view eye contact? Is it something where you are expected to look at one another in the eye? Or is it considered impolite or inappropriate to look at one another in the eye? Let's look and see. Because in the United States, if a person avoids eye contact, that means you don't look at one another. Often the person will be considered untrustworthy. That means that they are not telling the truth. They are lying or they are doing something they should not be doing. So Marcos, yes, eye contact is important. Let's see what others say. Let me know, how is eye contact viewed in your culture or in your country? I need to turn off my notifications so I don't get interrupted in our lesson again. We don't want that to happen. We'll see who else is commenting? So Layla says that if we don't know each other that much, we don't look at each other directly. Okay, so you will look towards someone, but you won't look at the ground. You just won't make that direct eye contact. It's normal in the Dominican Republic. Okay. Grace, thank you so much for your contribution. That's so kind of you. So in the United States in general, it's considered respectful to make eye contact, to show someone you are paying attention to them and that you're interested in what they have to say. I'm going to stop for a moment and see if anyone else wants to share on eye contact. I need to get a drink. My son is cooking his dinner in the microwave, and it's making me wonder what I'm going to eat tonight. So Dewey says we don't show eye contact. Okay, so let's change that. We don't need the word to, we don't show eye contact when we talk with someone who is my elder or someone who is older than me. And that's a form of respect. So you hold your head down. Yes. So in many cultures, it's inappropriate for children to make eye contact with adults. That's considered disrespectful. But in the schools in the United States, if a child does not make eye contact, the teacher will often get frustrated with them. Okay, Marcos, thank you so much for clarifying that. So in Brazil, it's very important. Grace says it depends on the situation. Sometimes it's really good showing eye contact, but sometimes it is not. And that's why eye contact can be really difficult. Zanoon Grace says it's normal to have eye contact. Also, there are many people all over the world that have difficulty making eye contact because it makes them uncomfortable. Gertrudis, we haven't had a train go by yet, but I bet we will before the night's out. So I have students who have conditions such as autism and other types of learning difficulties. There are also people who have social anxieties or phobias or anxiety that causes them to feel physically uncomfortable, like it almost hurts them to make eye contact with others. So for that reason, we need to just be aware of that as well. So we made it through the entire set of this lesson. We didn't have as many exercises in this, but I wanted to hear more about your culture. So I would like to know, do you have any questions about how culture can impact communication involving someone from the United States, since that is obviously where I live, so I can give you some information. We had someone ask about using the F word. So on a lot of social media, it's explained, different ways to use. And when I say this, it's F-U-C-K. And in some situations in the United States, it's considered very appropriate to use that word. In fields like athletics and in the music industry, they use that word all the time. In different regions of the country, it's okay. So in bigger cities, you're going to hear people, you'll hear that word on the street often. In the smaller communities and the farming communities where I live, you will not hear that word in public. And if you do, people turn and look. So that is my response on that. I feel to say if any man looks, okay. So you feel uncomfortable, Layla, if any man looks you directly in the eye, it makes you feel uncomfortable. I understand that. So it's very common practice in my town. If you are walking down the street and someone is walking towards you, you make eye contact and you say hello. That is a very appropriate social communication. But I know in many bigger cities in the United States, you would not necessarily do that. And in some cities, if you looked at someone in the eye and said hello, the person would say, "What are you looking at?" So it is very dependent upon where you are. And so it's important to look around you to see how everyone else is using their social communication skills so you can adjust to what is happening in your surroundings. So thank you so much, guys, for coming to this lesson. I hope you found some information to be interesting that you can use when you are working on communicating both in your native language and in English. So let's take a look and see if we have any other questions before we wrap it up. While we're doing that, I'll share with you, don't forget, you can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And I just started a Facebook page too. So kind of crazy. And Facebook. I just added that yesterday. So I am Learn English with Cheri on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and of course, YouTube as well. So subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. And let's see what we have here. Thanks, Layla. Yes, I sure hope you remember them as well. Gertrudis said it was interesting. You're welcome, Jonathan. Jonathan, I didn't hear from you. What is something that you would like to contribute from your culture? What is it like for eye contact? What is it like for personal space? I'd love to hear from you, Jonathan. You're welcome, Anna. Thank you for your little emoji. And if Robin is here, I'd love to hear what it's like in Korea. I know he's kind of quietly, but if you're here, Robin, still, I would love to hear how is eye contact viewed, or Grace. If you're here, let us know. Social distancing. Do people get close to one another when they are speaking? If you are colleagues, if you're coworkers, I would love to know that. It's really interesting. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up. So thanks so much for joining. Remember, you can become a channel member to help us continue in this process of providing you with these live lessons as well as videotaped lessons. Become a channel member and it will allow us to continue to do that. Okay. Thank you, Jonathan. Perfect. I appreciate that. Thanks so much, everyone. Be safe, be kind to one another, and remember, if you're in the United States, in Canada, in the UK, your facial expression should match what you're saying to help you be a more effective communicator. Grace, good point. Koreans tend to get a little too close. Okay, so like I said, Canadians and North Americans, we tend to, people from the United States, Canada, North Americans, we tend to have our personal space, right? Grace always stares into my eyes. I love it. Yes, Marcos, thank you so much for your donation. And I agree. Sometimes, in order to know if someone's telling the truth, you can look them in the eye, and that will tell you. If their eyes divert to the left, that is one of the clues that supposedly means that they're telling then they're not telling the truth. Okay, guys, have a great one. Thanks, Michelle. Be safe, everyone. Goodbye.